Yeah, and we should just remind people that that is about as tall as the Statue of Liberty. We're about 10 seconds away from launch right now. We're going to watch and be quiet.
4, 3, 2, 1. Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Booster Raptor, chamber pressure nominal.
Booster and ship, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
All right, we're just a little over a minute
maximum
into flight.
Dynamic pressure.
We're about 6 miles away, so all the sound's still hitting us here. Hearing good call-outs that power telemetry nominal, that's flying straight and true. We do see all 33 Raptor engines lit up on telemetry screens. At this point, we've passed through that point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, that max Q. Now, coming up in just a little over a minute from now is going to be hot staging. So we're going to see the 6 engines on the ship ignite while still attached to the booster. Just before that, we'll see all but 3 center engines on the booster shut down. In what we call MECO, it's most engines cut off instead of main engine. And so while we continue to watch it go up, a lot of our flight controllers looking at all the systems around the tower. Again, we have to send a manual command. Just about 30 seconds away from hot staging.
All right, Kristen Fisher, tell me what I'm watching here.
So you're watching Starship pass its first major test. See that indicator on the bottom left of your screen with all those circles and dots around it? Each one of those dots represents one of the 33 Raptor engines that has to fire simultaneously in order to get Starship and its big booster into orbit, or almost into orbit in this case. This is the moment of hot staging, a really critical maneuver. It's the moment when the booster separates from Starship itself. And it's called hot staging because Starship lights its engines while still attached to that booster. And so now we're seeing Starship continue. That's Starship right there.
Went off to the right and up, and the booster was the little dot that we saw go down to the bottom?
Correct. And
okay.
So these are some of the grid fins. And I believe right there, that's the booster. So Starship continues off to the very edge of space while the booster begins its return to Earth. And we're now just about 3 to 4 minutes away from the next critical maneuver, which is what we've all been waiting for, the catch, the return to Earth by the booster, where it will land back on the launch pad that it has just lifted off from. And you know, Jake, for people who don't follow space and space exploration, I think it's so important to put into perspective just how insane this is. I mean, just a few years ago, it was thought to be impossible to land a booster back on Earth at all, on Earth or, you know, on a ship. But the fact that they're now attempting and have proven once that they can catch it mid-air from the launch pad that it just lifted off from, it's just wild. And what makes this so important is that in order to achieve SpaceX's goal of making Starship fast and cheap, you have to be able to catch it back on the launch pad where it lifted off from so you can, you know, rinse, recycle, repeat quickly. So that's really what's so key here with that chopstick catch just moments away.
Okay, so what's on the left of the screen and what's on the right of the screen?
The left is the booster returning to Earth. The right is Starship as it heads out into space. So that is the edge of Starship. That's one of those fins that's going to be used for steering Starship. Of course, that's Earth behind it. And pretty soon, we should see the booster heading back to Boca Chica or Starbase, which is where SpaceX is mass manufacturing all of these massive rockets, the biggest, most powerful rockets ever built.
So the craft itself is what this is, and the booster is what was on the previous screen?
Yeah, so this is the spacecraft. If you look at the bottom of the screen, Jake, you can see the booster on the left, the diagram.
Yeah.
And then you see the countdown clock, and then Starship on the right. So those are the two angles of where it is right now. You can see the booster on the left. It's now in it appears to be a vertical trajectory. And it's going to be igniting its engines again to slow it down from supersonic speeds to gently land back on that launch pad. Give it a hug, as Trump said.
Okay, let's listen in and hear what they're saying.
And the public and the pad itself are paramount. So we are accepting no compromises in any of those areas.
Exactly, and we're still going to get a lot of good flight data with booster even, but especially with ship. Again, we have an additional objective today to do an in-space relight of a Raptor engine, which again will help us set us up for being able to do deorbit burns, which is
Ship chamber pressures are nominal.
which is important for orbital flights. And what you're seeing on your screen is a view from Super Heavy as it's making its way back down to Earth.
Yeah, once again, we are attempting an offshore landing of the Super Heavy booster. So we have seen this before, and it is still very fun to watching it come down for a soft splashdown off the Gulf Coast of Texas. We can see it there re-entering. We saw earlier those grid fins. There are 4 hypersonic grid fins. Or we can see that the landing burn has begun on the Super Heavy booster.
And same pattern, 13 engines will light, gone down to 3 just as we expected. And what an incredible view of splashdown that we got today of Super Heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure the buoy cam views will be pretty awesome once again. So we'd like to confirm.
So Kristen, obviously something happened that was not planned.
Something went wrong. So instead of the booster being caught on the launch pad with those giant chopsticks, SpaceX made the decision to let the booster land or splash down into the Gulf of Mexico. They do it for safety reasons. If everything is not perfectly on target, they hit the abort button, or they have to press a button that says, yes, this booster can come back and land on the launch pad. For whatever reason, the flight director did not do that this time, and so it splashed down into the ocean. Not what SpaceX wanted, clearly here. This is not a repeat of its successful first booster catch with the chopsticks, but Starship still, almost in orbit over Earth, and they still have several other goals that they're going to want to.
Right. Okay. So obviously they have failed in one of their missions, but there are many missions today, and this is part of the process of progress, which is you try, it works. You try, it doesn't work. You're learning things.
Well, and think about what would happen if you try to catch it with those chopsticks and something goes wrong. There's an explosion. With all of those VIPs there, President-elect Trump, obviously they're back at a safe distance, but there's a lot of people within a relatively short area, and unless everything is perfect, SpaceX isn't going to risk it.
I want to bring in Greg Autry. He currently serves as the Associate Provost for Space